Hello, and welcome to the Sleep Scientist channel. Tonight, we journey far back in time, drifting gently into the quiet and frozen world of the Ice Age. In this soothing exploration, uncover the most calming and fascinating facts about Earth tens of thousands of years ago. Vast, snow-covered landscapes where glaciers move slowly, rivers carve valleys, and the rhythm of life is deliberate and serene. As you listen, allow your mind to settle, your breath to deepen, and your body to sink into comfort. Let the slow, gentle pulse of Ice Age Earth wrap around you, guiding you toward a state of calm, quiet reflection, and eventually a restful night's sleep. The Ice Age was a time when Earth breathed in slow, icy rhythms. For tens of thousands of years, the planet rested beneath great blankets of snow and endless fields of frozen light. Tonight, as you settle into comfort and quiet, we will drift calmly across this ancient world. We will explore what Earth looked like during the Ice Age, how animals lived, how humans survived, and how the planet itself changed under the weight of cold and time. Every detail will be gentle, every moment soft, and every fact whispered in a way that helps your thoughts loosen and drift toward rest. So let your breath slow, let your shoulders soften, and imagine the world long ago, wrapped in silence and shimmering frost. During the Ice Age, the planet was colder than it is today. Much colder. Vast sheets of ice stretched across continents, covering entire regions under frozen layers more than 3 kilometers thick. Winds carried tiny crystals across the land, shaping dunes of snow. Oceans rose and fell with the slow pulse of climate. The sky held a pale, soft glow as sunlight reflected off endless fields of white. But the Ice Age was not a single moment. It was a long, shifting cycle of Earth's climate. Temperatures cooled gradually. Ice grew. Ice melted, then grew again. The planet breathed in long, slow patterns of cold and warmth. And these rhythms shaped everything: mountains, rivers, forests, and the creatures that walked the frozen world. Scientists call the most recent Ice Age the Pleistocene. It began around 6 million years ago, and it ended only about 700 years ago. That means humans lived through it, not just survived it, but thrived in it, created art in caves, hunted giant animals, carved tools of stone, bone, and ivory, and built small but deep cultures in the heart of a frozen Earth. As we explore this ancient world, imagine the soft sound of wind blowing across snow. Imagine the creaking of glaciers, the distant call of giant animals, and feel your breath fall into a calm, steady rhythm. During the Ice Age, massive ice sheets covered much of the northern hemisphere. North America was hidden beneath the Laurentide ice sheet. Europe and northern Asia were wrapped under the Eurasian ice sheet. Greenland and Antarctica were even colder than they are today. Mountains held thick glaciers that stretched down their slopes like frozen rivers. Entire valleys were carved by the slow, patient movement of ice. Where ice did not dominate, cold steppes stretched out like endless plains. These were windy, open grasslands filled with tough plants adapted to the chill. Woolly mammoths walked across them, their hair long and heavy, Woolly rhinoceroses wandered through patches of frozen grass. Saber-toothed cats watched silently from rocky cliffs. And giant ground sloths moved slowly through forests farther south. The Ice Age world was not empty. It was alive, vibrant, harsh, but full of beauty, full of creatures built perfectly for the cold. Humans lived on these lands too, wrapped in thick furs, moving quietly in small groups, following herds of animals across the frozen plains. They built shelters from snow, bone, and hide. They created fires that glowed warmly in the endless winter. And in their quiet moments, they painted images on cave walls. Images of mammoths, of bison, of lions. These paintings, still visible today, whisper the memories of their world. As you rest and listen, imagine walking across the frozen earth with them. Feel the snow crunch softly under your feet. See the pale horizon stretching endlessly before you. Breathe in the cold, crisp air of a long-vanished world. A world filled with quiet wonders. The Ice Age was shaped by changes in Earth's orbit. The planet wobbled gently on its axis. Its tilt shifted slowly. Its path around the sun stretched and tightened over tens of thousands of years. These changes altered how much sunlight different parts of the Earth received. And slowly, gently, the world cooled. The ice grew with each passing century. Snowfall added layer upon layer. Glaciers moved outward like slow, frozen tides, and the planet transformed. But even in such extreme cold, life found a way. Deep oceans held warmth. Forests survived in pockets far from the ice. Rivers flowed beneath frozen surfaces, and animals adapted in remarkable ways. Woolly mammoths grew thick coats of insulating fur. Musk oxen developed layers of soft underwool that trapped heat close to their bodies. Snow leopards grew wider paws to walk across snow without sinking. Lions adapted to colder climates and hunted herds of bison. And giant animals, megafauna, roamed freely across the world. At night, under the pale glow of Ice Age stars, these animals wandered across quiet plains. And now, as you listen, you may imagine them moving through the darkness of that ancient time. Soft, silent, majestic. Humans adapted too. They built tools out of stone that were sharp and efficient. They hunted animals much larger than themselves. They wore furs wrapped tightly around their bodies to stay warm. They built shelters using the bones of mammoths where wood was scarce. And they traveled long distances across frozen rivers, icy plains, and tundra. Yet even in their struggle for warmth and survival, they made art. Soft patterns carved into bone, animal figures etched into ivory, and cave paintings lit by small flickering flames. These paintings tell us what mattered to them: their world, their animals, their connection to the land, and perhaps their stories whispered around fires on cold nights. The Ice Age world was deeply interconnected. Ice shaped the land shaped the animals. The animals shaped human life. And through it all, the planet evolved in slow, powerful rhythms. As we drift deeper into this journey, imagine that your own thoughts are like snowflakes, falling softly, quietly, gently settling into stillness. The Ice Age world was alive with movement, even beneath its frozen veil. Tundra and steppe stretched endlessly, covered in short, hardy grasses that survived the harsh cold. Lichen and moss clung to rocks, quietly sustaining insects and small animals. Insects, tiny and resilient, burrowed beneath the snow or huddled under frozen bark. Even in the darkest months, life persisted. The megafauna dominated the landscape. Woolly mammoths, their thick fur glowing faintly in soft light, roamed in herds. They moved slowly, yet with purpose, plucking frozen grasses with massive trunks. Their tusks curved elegantly, ivory shimmering in dim winter sun. These gentle giants carried the memory of countless generations within them. Woolly rhinoceroses grazed nearby, covered in bristly coats, their breath rising in clouds of vapor. Giant deer with antlers wide as small trees moved carefully across icy plains. Bison herds shuffled like living snowdrifts, hoofbeats muffled in soft layers of snow. Predators lurked silently, watching. The saber-toothed cats crouched low, their long canines poised to strike when opportunity arose. The Ice Age was not silent. It was filled with subtle sounds. The crunch of snow beneath mammoth feet, the low rumble of glaciers shifting in the distance, the faint hiss of icy wind threading through stone and tree. All of these sounds combined into a calm, continuous rhythm. Humans observed and adapted to this rhythm. Small groups traveled cautiously across the land, following migrating herds. They learned which routes were safest during blizzards. They learned which plants could survive and provide nutrition. And they learned patience, the quiet skill of watching and waiting. In the forests, humans found shelter in caves. They lined the floors with soft moss or furs to retain warmth. Fires glowed gently, illuminating paintings of animals and hunts on stone walls. These images were reminders of their connection to the land and the creatures within it. Even as survival demanded effort, humans found time for creativity and reflection. Rivers and lakes, partially frozen, provided both food and travel routes. Fish persisted beneath ice, and seals navigated icy waters in some regions. Humans discovered these resources, learning to fish through small holes in the ice. They understood the patience needed to survive in such extreme conditions. The ice sheets themselves reshaped the world. Glaciers slowly carved valleys, rounded mountains, and deposited huge boulders far from their origins. Meltwater from ice sheets fed rivers that carried sediments and nutrients to lower lands. In this slow, persistent shaping, the land transformed silently over millennia. The climate was not uniform. Some regions were bitterly cold year-round, while others experienced seasonal thawing. Even slight changes in temperature affected migration patterns, plant growth, and animal behavior. Humans adapted, following cycles with care and careful planning. The Arctic regions held perpetual ice and snow. Permafrost trapped soil and water in frozen layers that sometimes extended hundreds of meters deep. Beneath this frozen layer, microorganisms survived, slowly processing nutrients and sustaining tiny ecosystems. Life found a way, even in conditions that seemed impossible. In lower latitudes, the Ice Age created grasslands where large herbivores thrived. The open plains allowed predators and prey to move freely. Animals developed incredible adaptations to survive long winters and scarce food. Some grew thick coats, others migrated long distances, and some stored fat for survival. Predators, including wolves and lions, adapted to cold climates, prowled carefully. They hunted in coordinated groups, relying on stealth, patience, and timing. They maintained balance in the ecosystem, keeping herbivore populations in check. And even their hunting added rhythm to the calm, quiet world. Humans sometimes encountered these predators. They learned to use weapons, traps, and cooperation to stay safe. These encounters required courage, observation, and intelligence. And in return, they gained food, clothing, and respect for the natural cycles of life. The Ice Age was a world of contrasts. Silence and sound intertwined. Light and shadow played across snow and ice. Movement and stillness coexisted in every frozen valley and open plain. And humans and animals alike adapted to these rhythms, learning patience, resilience, and balance. As you listen, imagine yourself walking through this quiet world. Feel the crunch of snow beneath your boots. See the soft glow of distant mammoths grazing. Breathe the crisp, cold air that carries scents of pine, frozen earth, and distant rivers. And let your mind drift gently, slowly, with the rhythm of the Ice Age itself. Even small creatures left traces. Rabbits burrowed beneath snow drifts, emerging only briefly for food. Snow hares changed their fur to blend with white surroundings. Birds huddled in tree branches or cliffs, wings tucked for warmth. Life persisted everywhere, patiently, softly, calmly. Glacial lakes reflected muted skies. Icebergs calved slowly from glaciers, moving like silent giants across water. Their edges shimmered faintly, sending gentle ripples across the surface. And the mountains, covered in ice and snow, rose quietly, majestic and eternal. The world of the Ice Age was also a world of survival and innovation. Humans experimented with tools and techniques to hunt, cook, and protect themselves. Stone blades were shaped precisely. Spears were reinforced with bone or antler. Fires were maintained for warmth, cooking, and signaling. Every innovation was gentle but essential. Every small success allowed groups to thrive in harsh conditions. And every day, humans observed, learned, and adapted. Now, imagine sitting beside a small, soft fire in a cave. The glow warms your face. Outside, snow drifts silently. Wind brushes against the walls of the cave, soft and quiet. And in the distance, you hear the faint steps of mammoths moving across the frozen plains. The Ice Age was not merely cold and harsh. It was beautiful. Soft, muted light reflected from ice sheets. Snow fell in delicate, endless patterns. The wind carried whispers of ice and life alike. And every living creature moved within these rhythms, quietly, peacefully, patiently. Across the frozen plains, woolly mammoths moved slowly in herds. Their thick, shaggy fur protected them from the biting wind. Long tusks curved gracefully, used to dig through snow and ice to reach hidden vegetation. Mammoths were gentle giants, yet essential to the ecosystem. They shaped the land by trampling snow and grass, creating paths for smaller animals. Woolly rhinoceroses roamed nearby, their bristly coats shimmering faintly in the soft winter light. They grazed calmly, moving in measured steps across open tundra. Giant deer, with antlers spreading like branches of ancient trees, wandered in small groups. Bison herds shuffled through the snow, their breath rising in misty clouds. Predators watched silently. Saber-toothed cats prowled rocky cliffs. Their long fangs were tools of precision, not recklessness. They waited patiently, moving like shadows across the white landscape. Even these hunters contributed to the rhythm of the Ice Age, balancing the herds in the plains. Giant ground sloths, slower and steadier, moved through forests in warmer regions. They stripped branches, seeking leaves hidden beneath frost. Their large size allowed them to survive in cold climates by storing fat. And despite their bulk, they moved quietly, blending with the muted colors of their surroundings. Humans observed all of this with keen awareness. They learned the habits of each species. They knew when mammoths would migrate, when bison would cross rivers, and where predators would hunt. Humans followed these rhythms, respecting the subtle order of life. In caves, humans created art that told stories of survival. Walls were painted with images of animals they hunted or revered. Mammoths, bison, lions, and horses appeared in soft, flowing lines. Ochre, charcoal, and minerals were carefully applied to create muted, soothing colors. These paintings were not only documentation, they were meditative, a quiet way to honor life. Fires glowed in these caves. The smoke drifted upward, carrying warmth and faint scents of resin and dried herbs. Humans rested, observed, and reflected. Even in harsh winter, there was a rhythm of calm and patience. Birds adapted to the cold, finding shelter in rock crevices or dense shrubs. Snowy owls glided silently over tundra. Small songbirds huddled in evergreens, their feathers puffed to trap warmth. Even these smallest creatures contributed to the gentle symphony of the Ice Age world. Insects, though largely hidden beneath snow or bark, continued their quiet labor. Some burrowed deep in frozen soil, waiting for spring. Others survived by clustering together, conserving warmth and energy. Every life form, no matter how small, participated in the delicate balance of the ecosystem. Glaciers slowly reshaped valleys and mountains, their weight pressed down, carving U-shaped valleys and smoothing jagged cliffs. Rivers of meltwater flowed from their edges, feeding lakes and plains. These waterways nourished life even in the harsh cold. Humans often settled near these rivers. The water provided drinking supply, fish, and routes for travel. Fishing through ice holes became a delicate skill, practiced quietly and patiently. It was a meditative act, requiring focus, but also calm, rhythmic motion. The Ice Age climate varied over time. Some centuries were colder, others slightly warmer. Ice sheets grew and shrank. Oceans receded and returned, and coastlines shifted slowly. Humans and animals adapted to these gentle cycles, learning when to move, where to shelter, and how to conserve resources. The Arctic regions were covered with permanent ice, yet life persisted even there. Permafrost trapped nutrients and microbes, sustaining unseen ecosystems. Seals and polar bears in later periods followed the rhythm of ice flows. Even these harsh conditions held beauty and quiet order. The grasslands of lower latitudes flourished in the warmth between ice advances. Grazing animals thrived here, creating open plains filled with movement. Predators followed in silent harmony, maintaining the balance of life. Humans traveled these plains, following herds and observing carefully. Every day in the Ice Age required patience. Each hunt, each journey, each observation was measured and deliberate. Humans relied on cooperation, communication, and knowledge passed from elders. They understood the subtle pulse of the land, and in doing so, they became part of the world's calm rhythm. The night skies over the Ice Age were clear and vast. Stars reflected faintly on snow and ice. Auroras glimmered softly in polar regions, painting the skies with undulating colors. The universe seemed closer, quieter, and more intimate than it does today. Humans gazed upward in wonder, finding comfort and inspiration. Even in extreme cold, small pleasures existed: warmth from a fire, the taste of roasted meat, soft furs to wrap around oneself, and the quiet satisfaction of surviving, thriving, and understanding one's place in a frozen world. The Ice Age was harsh, yet peaceful in its own rhythm. Life moved with slow precision. Every creature, every human, every snowflake contributed to a gentle, persistent pulse. And as you imagine it tonight, let your own mind fall into this rhythm. Softly, slowly, calmly. Humans in the Ice Age were careful observers of the world around them. They learned to read the wind, the snow, and the tracks left by animals. They understood the rhythm of migration, the subtle signs of storms, and the locations of safe shelter. Every action was deliberate, gentle, and often slow, allowing them to survive in harmony with the cold. They created tools from stone, bone, and antler. Knives, scrapers, and spear points were carefully shaped for efficiency. Each tool was handled with care, used with focus, and maintained for long use. This required patience, precision, and calm awareness. Art became a quiet refuge. Caves were decorated with images of animals they hunted or revered. Mammoths, bison, horses, and lions appeared in flowing, gentle lines. Ochre, charcoal, and minerals produced muted tones, soft and calming. The paintings were not rushed. Each stroke was deliberate, meditative, and reflective of a deep connection to life. Some caves were decorated with hand stencils, gently pressed against stone walls. These soft impressions created a quiet sense of presence. It was a gentle mark of human existence within the vastness of the Ice Age world. Music may have existed in simple forms: flutes made from bone, small drums, or percussion instruments created soft sounds. Humans may have used them to communicate, celebrate, or soothe one another. These quiet rhythms provided comfort and companionship in long, cold nights. Humans wore furs and hides for warmth. They carefully layered clothing to trap heat close to the body. They learned to weave fibers and stitch hides with precision. Even the act of dressing was deliberate and mindful, part of the rhythm of life. Shelters were built with care. Caves were lined with moss, grass, or furs to provide insulation. Temporary structures made of bones and hides were assembled methodically. Each step in constructing a shelter contributed to comfort, safety, and calm. Social structures were small but significant. Groups moved together with coordination and understanding. They shared food, protected one another, and passed knowledge across generations. Every interaction was gentle, intentional, and integral to survival. Humans in the Ice Age also observed celestial patterns. They watched the movements of the sun, the moon, and stars. These quiet observations guided seasonal migrations and hunting schedules, and they provided a gentle connection to the larger universe, calm and constant. Rivers and lakes were lifelines. Humans fished through holes in ice, watching patiently for movement beneath the frozen surface. They understood tides, currents, and ice formation. Every observation was soft, slow, and deliberate, as though time itself moved differently in the frozen world. Plants were studied and used carefully. Roots, seeds, and tubers were gathered from beneath the snow when possible. Herbs were used for flavor or medicine, each applied with knowledge and respect. Even foraging became a gentle practice of mindfulness and observation. Life in the Ice Age was shaped by patience. Every hunting strategy, every gathering effort, every movement through snow or forest required focus and calm. Humans learned to be steady, observant, and responsive to subtle changes. This careful rhythm of life mirrored the natural world around them. Cultural practices likely included storytelling. Stories were shared around fires, softly spoken, filled with lessons and gentle wonder. These narratives preserved history, conveyed survival strategies, and nurtured community. Even in harsh climates, there was room for imagination and reflection. The Ice Age environment itself demanded quiet reverence. Animals, rivers, ice, and wind all required observation and respect. Humans learned to move softly, to tread lightly, and to harmonize with the cold. Vast landscapes. In some regions, humans domesticated fire carefully. They maintained small, steady flames. The warmth provided comfort, light, and a gentle reminder of life amid cold and ice. Even the act of tending fire was meditative, calming, and rhythmic. Art, observation, and ritual created a tapestry of gentle, human presence across the frozen world. Every small gesture reflected adaptation, care, and awareness. And through it all, humans coexisted with megafauna, predators, and the shifting ice sheets in a fragile, soft balance. As you listen, imagine the flickering of a small fire. Feel warmth on your hands. Hear the faint whistle of wind outside the cave entrance. See the shadows of mammoths moving across distant snowy plains. and let your mind drift into the slow, calm rhythm of Ice Age life. The Ice Age was a world of contrasts: cold and warmth, silence and sound, movement and stillness. It was a world that required awareness, patience, and gentle adaptation. And in this world, humans, animals, and the environment moved together in quiet, enduring harmony. The climate of the Ice Age was colder than modern Earth. Average global temperatures dropped significantly. Vast ice sheets covered much of the northern hemisphere. The Laurentide ice sheet blanketed North America. The Eurasian ice sheet stretched across Europe and northern Asia. Ice sheets were massive and heavy. They pressed down on the land, slowly reshaping mountains, valleys, and plains. Glaciers moved with patient force, carving U-shaped valleys and depositing large boulders called erratics. Meltwater from glaciers flowed into rivers, feeding lakes and nourishing ecosystems far from the ice. The Ice Age climate fluctuated over thousands of years. Cold periods, called glacial periods, alternated with warmer interglacial periods. During glacial periods, ice expanded, sea levels dropped, and land bridges appeared. During interglacials, ice melted, seas rose, and previously frozen landscapes became fertile. Ocean currents played a key role in climate. They distributed heat and nutrients across the globe. When currents slowed or shifted, temperature patterns changed. Even small changes in ocean circulation could affect ice sheet stability. Snowfall was frequent in polar and temperate regions. Layers of snow accumulated over centuries, compacting into thick ice. This slow compression created glaciers that moved like rivers of frozen time. Each layer of ice preserved tiny air bubbles, capturing ancient atmospheres. Scientists study these ice cores today. They reveal carbon dioxide levels, temperature changes, and volcanic eruptions from long ago. Each bubble of trapped air is a tiny time capsule, and every layer tells the story of Earth's changing climate. Mountains were shaped by persistent ice. Glaciers scraped rock, smoothing peaks and carving valleys. Moraines, ridges of debris left by retreating ice, mark the edges of ancient glaciers. These features remain visible in landscapes even today. Permafrost formed in regions with permanent or near-permanent cold. It traps soil, water, and organic matter in frozen layers. Microbes survive slowly beneath the surface, even deep below. Life adapted to endure the cold, soft, and constant. Wind patterns were influenced by ice sheets. Cold air flowed outward from glaciers, creating strong, steady winds. These winds shaped dunes, sculpted snow, and carried particles across vast distances. They created rhythmic, gentle sounds that blended with the quiet of frozen landscapes. Ice Age rivers were dynamic and vital. Glacial melt fed them, carving deep channels. Rivers carried sediments, nutrients, and life across vast distances. Some rivers froze seasonally, while others flowed gently beneath sheets of ice. Sea levels were lower during glacial periods. Land bridges connected continents. For example, the Bering Land Bridge allowed humans and animals to migrate between Asia and North America. These connections shaped the distribution of species across the world. Volcanic activity influenced the climate occasionally. Eruptions released ash and particles into the atmosphere. These particles reflected sunlight, cooling the earth temporarily. Even small changes could affect snowfall, ice growth, and the rhythm of glacial cycles. The Ice Age landscape was varied. Tundra stretched across open plains. Forests survived in pockets far from glaciers. Icebergs drifted slowly in frigid waters, and snow-covered mountains rose silently in the distance. Even in the harsh cold, life persisted. Plants grew in sheltered valleys. Herbivores grazed carefully in open meadows. Predators adapted to hunt in snow, and humans learned to live with patience and respect for these patterns. Glaciers were slow, but powerful. They carved fjords along coastlines. Deposited sediment built new landforms, and their movement left permanent marks on the earth, shaping rivers, valleys, and plains for millennia. The Ice Age was a world of subtle shifts. Each change in temperature, precipitation, or wind influenced life. Every glacier, river, and storm interacted with plants, animals, and humans. And this continuous interaction created the quiet, rhythmic pulse of a frozen planet. As you imagine it tonight, picture vast ice sheets stretching to the horizon. Hear the soft, steady whistle of wind across frozen plains. See glacial rivers flowing gently beneath pale sunlight. And let your mind drift slowly into the rhythm of Earth's frozen history. The Ice Age was a symphony of time, patience, and resilience. Every glacier, every snowflake, and every breath of wind contributed to the silent beauty of this ancient world. And as you rest, imagine yourself within this landscape, calm, serene, and gently cradled by the frozen earth. Humans during the Ice Age were skilled travelers. They followed the movements of animals across frozen plains and tundra. Migration routes were carefully learned and shared across generations. Each journey required patience, observation, and understanding of the land. Hunting was a central part of survival. Humans tracked herds of mammoths, bison, and reindeer. They studied the behavior of these animals quietly and attentively. Hunting was not rushed. It was precise, methodical, and deliberate. Spears, bows, and stone tools were crafted carefully. Humans worked slowly, shaping each weapon with care. They understood which tools were most effective for each type of prey, and they practiced their use with patience and focus. Hunting often required cooperation. Groups worked together, surrounding prey or driving herds toward natural traps. Communication was subtle, using gestures, sounds, and signs. Every movement was deliberate, calm, and essential for success. Fire played an important role in hunting and survival. Humans used fire to warm themselves, cook food, and sometimes signal one another. Smoke could guide other hunters or serve as a subtle warning. Tending the fire was a meditative act, performed with attention and calm. Tracking animals required detailed observation. Footprints in snow or mud revealed where herds had traveled. Scat, broken branches, and feeding marks provided clues. Humans learned to interpret these signs with care and patience. Even the smallest actions had importance. Setting traps, arranging bait, or quietly observing waterholes could determine success. Humans honed these skills slowly. Understanding the rhythm of the environment, humans also relied on seasonal knowledge. They knew when animals would migrate or hibernate. They understood the availability of edible plants and roots. Every year brought subtle changes that required attention and adaptability. Interactions with large animals were not only dangerous, but respectful. Predators like saber-toothed cats and cave lions were watched from a distance. Humans learned their habits and avoided unnecessary conflict. Coexisting in a balanced ecosystem was essential for survival. Herd animals like mammoths influenced human movement. Humans followed their patterns, sometimes for weeks, across frozen plains. This required endurance, quiet movement, and careful attention to the weather. Humans also collected materials from animals. Fur was used for warmth. Bones and antlers became tools or shelter structures. Ivory was carved into ornaments or symbolic objects. In caves, humans rested and reflected on their work. Soft furs lined floors, providing insulation against the cold. Fires flickered gently, casting calming shadows on walls. Art and symbols were drawn in, muted, sleep-friendly colors. The relationship between humans and megafauna was intricate. Humans relied on these animals for sustenance. Animals shaped the landscape, which in turn influenced human travel. This created a subtle, harmonious rhythm between humans and the natural world. Even small plants and berries were carefully gathered. Humans observed which plants survived the harsh winters. They learned which were edible and which could serve as medicine. Every step, every action was deliberate and measured. Human groups were social. They shared food, knowledge, and warmth. Young members learned from elders, gradually mastering the skills needed for survival. Every interaction was deliberate, gentle, and careful. The Ice Age world was harsh but rhythmic. Humans, animals, ice, and wind all moved together in a slow, persistent pattern. Understanding and respecting this rhythm allowed humans to thrive. It created a life that was challenging yet full of quiet beauty. As you listen, imagine walking silently behind a herd of mammoths. Feel the cold air on your face and the soft crunch of snow underfoot. Hear distant predator calls and the gentle rustle of animal movement. Breathe in slowly, allowing the rhythm of this frozen world to guide your mind toward calm and rest. Humans adapted in ways both subtle and profound. They learned patience. They learned observation. They learned the art of living in balance with a world of ice, snow, and majestic creatures. Even the harshest storms could be weathered. Humans waited, observed, and acted with quiet precision. They found shelter. They preserved warmth. And in this slow, deliberate life, they discovered resilience, wisdom, and the gentle pulse of survival. Daily life for humans during the Ice Age was slow, deliberate, and purposeful. Every action, from gathering food to maintaining shelter, required patience and care. The cold demanded focus, yet life was filled with quiet routines and gentle rhythms. Hunting remained central to survival. Groups tracked herds for days, observing patterns, anticipating movements, and choosing moments carefully. The hunt was a blend of skill, cooperation, and understanding of the natural world. Even the smallest misstep could change the outcome, so each movement was mindful. Gathering plants, roots, and berries supplemented diets. Humans learned which plants thrived in harsh conditions. They collected edible roots and stored them for winter use. Herbs provided medicinal value, and knowledge of these plants was passed quietly from elders to children. Tool-making was a patient craft. Stone knives and spear points were shaped with care. Bone, antler, and ivory were carved into implements for hunting, daily tasks, or ritual purposes. Each tool was crafted with thought, precision, and respect for materials. Clothing was essential. Furs and hides were layered to provide warmth. Humans learned to sew and stitch with delicate skill. The creation of garments was methodical, ensuring comfort and protection in extreme conditions. Shelters reflected adaptation and creativity. Caves were lined with moss, furs, and grasses for insulation. Temporary structures were built from bones, hides, and wood. Every construction was carefully planned to maximize warmth, safety, and longevity. Art played a gentle role in daily life. Cave paintings depicted animals, hunting scenes, and abstract symbols. Ochre, charcoal, and minerals created muted, calming tones. These works were not rushed. Each stroke reflected observation, reflection, and connection to life. Storytelling, past knowledge, and history. Soft, quiet voices shared tales of hunts, survival, and lessons from elders. These stories taught younger generations about roots, food sources, and animal behavior. Storytelling also provided comfort, rhythm, and connection during long winter nights. Music may have been subtle, yet important. Flutes made of bone, rhythmic drumming, or simple percussive sounds provided soothing tones. Music likely accompanied rituals, storytelling, or communal activities. It added a gentle harmony to the daily rhythm of life. Humans interacted carefully with the environment. They observed animal behavior, studied weather, and learned seasonal cycles. Every movement was measured and respectful. This awareness ensured survival and maintained harmony with the world around them. Communication was nuanced. Gestures, facial expressions, and soft sounds were used to coordinate hunting and daily activities. Knowledge was transmitted slowly and deliberately. Children learned observation, patience, and gentle cooperation from elders. Food preparation required calm and attention. Fires were maintained with care to cook meat and roots. Boiling or roasting food preserved nutrients and provided warmth. Even these mundane tasks were performed with rhythm and quiet focus. Ice Age humans adapted to harsh conditions with remarkable resilience. They thrived not by rushing, but by moving deliberately. Each day's work, every step, and every interaction reflected careful planning and calm observation. Spiritual or ritual practices may have existed. Symbols carved in bone or painted on walls suggested reverence for animals and natural forces. quiet reflection, meditation, or gentle ritual likely provided a sense of balance and peace. Humans observe celestial patterns with care. They notice the movement of the sun, moon, and stars. These observations guided migration, hunting, and timing for seasonal tasks. The night sky provided a quiet anchor in the frozen, changing world. Animals and humans coexisted in a balance of life and survival. Predators hunted prey, while humans tracked herbivores carefully. Both humans and animals adapted to ice sheets, snow, and frozen rivers. Every creature moved within the gentle rhythm of the Ice Age. Even small details mattered. Footprints, animal tracks, frozen rivers, and plant growth were observed closely. Understanding these subtle signs allowed humans to navigate, hunt, and thrive. The Ice Age was a world of quiet precision. Each day was filled with movement, observation, and deliberate action. Humans learned to live in harmony with the harsh yet beautiful landscape. And as you imagine this world, let your thoughts slow. Feel the soft crunch of snow beneath your feet. Hear the distant rumble of a glacier. See shadows of mammoths moving across open plains. Breathe deeply and allow the rhythm of life to guide your mind toward calm and rest. Even in extreme cold, there was warmth, fires, companionship, and observation provided gentle comfort. Every small achievement, every safe day, reinforced resilience and connection. And through all of it, life persisted with soft, measured patience, daily routines, hunting, art, communication, and reflection wove together a gentle tapestry of Ice Age existence. Humans thrived in this rhythm, learning not only survival, but mindfulness and balance. And as you rest tonight, let your imagination join them in quiet observation, slow movement, and soft, enduring harmony. Humans in the Ice Age lived in small, closely connected groups. Every member had a role, whether hunting, gathering, preparing food, or caring for young. Cooperation was essential, and every action was deliberate and mindful. Social structures were based on trust and observation. Elders guided younger members, teaching skills and wisdom quietly over time. Stories, songs, and gestures passed knowledge and strengthened community bonds. Art and symbolism were integral to social life. Cave walls displayed depictions of animals, hunts, and abstract patterns. Each stroke was carefully applied, soft in color, and calming in form. These images provided not only communication, but meditation and reflection. Rituals may have marked hunting success, seasonal change, or communal gatherings. Flutes and percussive instruments added gentle rhythms to quiet ceremonies. The use of fire, light, and smoke contributed to meditative environments. These practices connected humans to the environment, animals, and each other. Hunting was both survival and ritualized practice. Groups coordinated silently, moving with patience and strategy. They observed animals over hours or days, respecting their behavior and cycles. Every hunt reinforced connection to the land and its creatures. Gathering was equally mindful. Roots, berries, and herbs were collected carefully and stored for winter use. Humans understood subtle signs in plants, observing growth and seasonal patterns. Every act was slow, attentive, and rhythmic. Clothing and shelter were refined crafts. Furs and hides were stitched with care, layered for warmth. Temporary shelters were built methodically, providing protection from wind and snow. Each creation reflected skill, observation, and patience. Children were taught through observation and imitation. They learned to track, hunt, gather, and craft tools. Lessons were soft, slow, and repetitive, creating deep understanding. Every skill passed down preserved the rhythm and knowledge of the Ice Age world. Trade and communication likely existed between groups. Objects such as tools, ornaments, or pigments may have been exchanged. These interactions strengthened social bonds and facilitated cultural development. Even small exchanges contributed to the gentle flow of community life. Food preparation was deliberate. Fires were maintained for warmth, cooking, and light. Meat and plants were processed carefully, ensuring nourishment and survival. Every meal reflected the integration of human skill and environmental knowledge. Humans also observed celestial patterns. Stars, moon, and sun guided seasonal movement and timing for hunts. These quiet observations connected daily life to cosmic cycles. Night skies inspired reflection, curiosity, and a sense of calm. Music likely provided relaxation, rhythm, and social cohesion. Bone flutes, small drums, and soft percussive sounds accompanied gatherings. Music was gentle, deliberate, and integrated into daily life. It complemented art, storytelling, and meditation. Even spiritual practices, though subtle, shaped Ice Age culture. Symbols carved in bone, painted on stone, or etched in tools suggested reverence for life. Humans reflected on animals, seasons, and environmental patterns with quiet respect. These practices created a soft rhythm that integrated survival, observation, and mindfulness. The balance between humans, animals, and environment was delicate. Every choice, from hunting to migration, reflected awareness and careful observation. Humans moved gently within this frozen world, harmonizing with its rhythms. And in doing so, they developed resilience, wisdom, and a gentle patience. The Ice Age was harsh, yet rhythmically beautiful. Snow, ice, wind, rivers, and mountains created patterns of soft movement. Animals followed instinctual paths. Humans followed carefully, learned routines. All life was connected in a slow, enduring cadence. As you imagine this world, picture a group gathered by a soft fire. The glow warms faces. Faint shadows dance on cave walls decorated with animals. The night sky glimmers outside, calm, vast, and comforting. Breathe slowly and let the soft rhythm of Ice Age life guide your mind toward rest. Even in extreme cold, Ice Age humans experienced warmth, creativity, and social connection. Daily life was filled with quiet, deliberate activity. Every task, observation, and interaction was measured, patient, and reflective. And through this rhythm, humans survived, adapted, and created a gentle, enduring culture. The Ice Age world was a delicate balance of climate, land, and life. Glaciers shaped valleys, rivers, and plains over thousands of years. Snow and ice covered much of the northern continents, creating cold but stable habitats. Within this frozen expanse, ecosystems adapted slowly, quietly, and deliberately. Large herbivores moved in herds across open tundra and steppe. Woolly mammoths grazed on grasses and shrubs beneath soft snow. Woolly rhinoceroses shuffled steadily, browsing for hidden vegetation. Giant deer and bison herds moved in rhythmic patterns, following the availability of food. Predators adapted to these rhythms. Saber-toothed cats crouched silently, observing prey for hours. Wolves hunted cooperatively, coordinating through subtle gestures and soft calls. Every hunt, every movement, contributed to the balance of life on frozen plains. Humans integrated into this ecological rhythm. They observed animal behavior, learned seasonal migrations, and tracked herds. Hunting was deliberate, slow, and respectful of natural cycles. Humans learned patience, observation, and quiet strategy. Smaller animals played equally important roles. Snow hares changed their fur to blend with winter landscapes. Birds huddled in evergreens or cliffs, finding shelter from wind and snow. Insects burrowed beneath bark or frozen soil, surviving in tiny hidden ecosystems. Rivers and lakes were life-giving arteries in frozen landscapes. Glacial melt fed waterways, providing drinking water and fish. Humans fished patiently through holes in ice. Animals drank, bathed, or traveled along riverbanks, following natural rhythms. Even plants adapted carefully to the Ice Age. Mosses and lichens survived harsh temperatures on rocks. Grasses and small shrubs thrived in sheltered plains and valleys. Humans observed which plants were edible or medicinal, using them slowly and mindfully. The interaction of humans and megafauna was gentle yet vital. Humans depended on mammoths, bison, and deer for food, clothing, and tools. Animals shaped the land, leaving tracks and paths that humans followed. This interconnected rhythm created balance in the ecosystem. Weather played a subtle role in daily life. Blizzards forced humans to wait in shelters. Calm, sunny days allowed travel, hunting, and gathering. Every action was measured against the soft pulse of environmental patterns. Predator and prey cycles maintained ecological harmony. Humans respected these cycles, avoiding unnecessary risk while hunting. Large predators, like lions and saber-toothed cats, remained part of the quiet rhythm of life. Each species moved with awareness and patience. Human groups thrived through careful cooperation. Tasks were shared, knowledge was passed, and safety was maintained. Children learned by observing quietly and practicing slowly. Elders provided guidance, ensuring continuity and stability in the group. Art, ritual, and storytelling were integrated into daily rhythms. Cave paintings depicted animals, hunts, and symbolic patterns. Soft music and gentle drumming accompanied quiet ceremonies or communal reflection. These practices nurtured mindfulness, community, and calm. Fire was maintained methodically. It provided warmth, light, and a means to cook food. Tending fire became a meditative act, harmonizing with the rhythm of the day. Even minor adjustments, like adding a log or repositioning stones, required careful attention. Humans observed celestial bodies in the night sky. Stars, moon, and sun guided seasonal movements and timing for activities. These observations added another layer of rhythm to daily life. Night skies offered calm, inspiration, and connection to the vast universe. The Ice Age was a symphony of subtle interactions. Snow, wind, ice, water, plants, animals, and humans all contributed to the soft pulse of life. Each movement, sound, or breath was part of a continuous, gentle rhythm, and humans learned to live within this cadence, practicing patience, observation, and care. As you imagine this world, picture the soft crunch of snow beneath your feet. See the distant mammoths grazing under muted sunlight. Hear the whisper of wind across frozen plains. Feel the calm, deliberate rhythm of Ice Age life guiding your mind toward rest. Even the smallest details mattered. Footprints, tracks, ice patterns, and plant growth were observed carefully. Humans moved gently, integrating into the ecosystem with awareness and respect. Every action, every observation was slow, deliberate, and harmonious. The Ice Age was harsh, yet profoundly beautiful. Life persisted, adapted, and thrived within its quiet, frozen rhythm. And as you rest tonight, imagine yourself part of this gentle world, calm, serene, and embraced by the soft pulse of ancient Earth. As the Ice Age drew to a close, the climate began to warm slowly. Glaciers retreated, revealing valleys, rivers, and plains that had been hidden for thousands of years. Sea levels rose, flooding lowlands and reshaping coastlines. This gradual change required humans and animals to adapt once again. Megafauna faced new challenges. Mammoths, woolly rhinoceroses, and giant deer encountered shrinking habitats. Some species thrived for a while, others gradually declined. Humans observed these changes and adjusted hunting strategies accordingly. Rivers, lakes, and wetlands expanded in some areas. New ecosystems appeared as plants recolonized land exposed by retreating ice. Grasses and shrubs spread across fertile plains, providing abundant grazing for herbivores. Humans followed these changes carefully, adapting migration and settlement patterns. Humans innovated with new tools and strategies. Stone tools became more refined. New techniques for fishing, hunting, and shelter construction appeared. Every adjustment reflected observation, patience, and gradual learning. Small groups of humans began exploring new regions. They followed rivers, coastlines, and fertile valleys. Knowledge of animal behavior, plant cycles, and seasonal changes guided their journeys. Migration was deliberate, slow, and synchronized with the environment. Ice sheets continued to melt, shaping the land in subtle ways. Glacial lakes formed, and meltwater carved new valleys. Sediment deposition created fertile soils, supporting vegetation and herbivores. Humans and animals alike benefited from these gentle transformations. The warming climate changed predator-prey dynamics. Some predators declined as prey populations shifted. Humans observed these patterns, hunting selectively and respectfully. Understanding ecological balance remained central to survival. Cultural development continued alongside environmental change. Cave art and symbolic objects reflected observation of nature and social identity. Storytelling preserved knowledge of landscape, animals, and survival strategies. Music and rituals maintained calm, meditation, and community cohesion. Humans adapted clothing and shelter to the changing environment. Furs, hides, and layered garments were adjusted for milder winters. Shelters were modified, relocated, or expanded based on new landscapes. Every innovation was guided by observation, care, and gradual experimentation. Fire remained central to daily life. It provided warmth, light, and safety. Humans learned to manage fire efficiently, creating steady, controlled flames. Even minor adjustments reflected careful attention and patience. The Ice Age end brought challenges, but also opportunity. New habitats encouraged exploration and settlement. Humans followed ecological cues, gradually expanding across continents. Knowledge of animals, plants, weather, and terrain guided every decision. Small plants and shrubs flourished in newly exposed land. Humans collected seeds, roots, and berries with care. Understanding seasonal growth patterns became increasingly important. This knowledge ensured nutrition, medicine, and survival. Predators continued to shape ecosystems. Wolves, large cats, and birds of prey moved in harmony with herbivores and humans. The rhythm of life remained delicate, measured, and interconnected. Humans learned to coexist with other species, observing quietly and respecting patterns. By the end of the Ice Age, humans had become highly skilled observers. They understood the subtle interplay of climate, ice, animals, and vegetation. Every movement, choice, and interaction reflected careful attention, patience, reflection, and awareness guided life across frozen and thawing landscapes. The night sky remained a source of wonder. Stars, moon, and auroras inspired observation and reflection. Humans noted celestial patterns to predict seasonal change and migration. The quiet rhythm of the universe complemented the gentle pulse of Earth below. Even in this transitional period, life retained a meditative pace. Every action, hunting, gathering, tool-making, or storytelling, was deliberate and thoughtful. Humans moved in harmony with the environment, observing and adjusting to subtle changes. And through these careful rhythms, they ensured survival, continuity, and calm adaptation. Imagine walking across the newly thawed tundra. Feel soft soil underfoot and gentle rivers flowing from melting glaciers. Hear distant calls of animals returning to renewed habitats. Breathe deeply, allowing the slow, measured cadence of Ice Age life to guide your mind toward rest. The legacy of the Ice Age persists in landscapes, rivers, mountains, and even genetic memory of surviving species. Humans adapted, learned, and passed knowledge through generations. Megafauna, plants, and ecological patterns shaped future environments. And as you drift into sleep, let this slow, or harmonious pulse of ancient Earth calm your mind and body. The Ice Age was a period of immense cold, patience, and resilience. Glaciers shaped the land slowly, leaving valleys, plains, and rivers behind. Sea levels rose and fell, creating land bridges and new coastlines. The world was harsh, yet profoundly rhythmic and ordered. Humans adapted to extreme conditions with careful observation. They learned to track animals, gather plants, and craft tools. Every action was deliberate, slow, and mindful. This slow rhythm of life ensured survival across frozen landscapes. Megafauna such as mammoths, bison, and saber-toothed cats moved in harmony with the environment. Humans observed, hunted respectfully, and coexisted within these ecosystems. Predator-prey relationships created balance and subtle, gentle rhythms. Every species, every movement contributed to the pulse of Ice Age Earth. Daily life required cooperation and communication. Elders taught the young through observation and repetition. Storytelling, art, and music passed knowledge quietly across generations. These practices also nurtured reflection, calm, and connection. Shelter and clothing were carefully designed for comfort and warmth. Furs and hides were layered. Shelters were insulated and positioned thoughtfully. Even tending fire became a deliberate, meditative practice. Humans observed celestial patterns to guide migration and seasonal activities. Stars, moon, and sun were quiet anchors in the frozen world. Their movements reflected cycles of life, hunting and gathering. Observation of the sky created a calming connection to the universe. Plants and herbs were gathered with care. Humans learned which were edible and medicinal. Every small detail was important for nutrition and survival. This careful attention added to the slow, mindful rhythm of life. Art reflected observation and reflection. Cave paintings of animals and symbolic patterns were painted with muted, sleep-friendly tones. Bone flutes and soft percussion instruments added gentle auditory layers to daily life. Creativity and ritual nurtured calm and peaceful engagement with the environment. As glaciers melted, humans adapted to new landscapes. Rivers, lakes, and fertile plains provided food and resources. Hunting and gathering strategies shifted gradually. Humans moved with care, patience, and observation, adjusting to new ecological rhythms. The Ice Age left lasting legacies. Landforms, valleys, fjords, and moraines remain visible today. Genetic traces of surviving megafauna are present in modern animals. Humans passed knowledge of survival, observation, and harmony across generations. Every aspect of Ice Age life was interconnected. Climate, ice, plants, animals, and humans interacted in gentle, enduring cycles. The rhythm of the natural world was slow, steady, and calming. And humans learned to move with it, quietly, Deliberately and respectfully, imagine the soft crunch of snow beneath your feet. Hear distant mammoths moving across open plains. See the gentle ripple of rivers from melting glaciers. Feel the steady rhythm of life across frozen and thawing landscapes. Even in the harshest cold, life adapted and thrived. Humans developed patience, awareness, and skill. Megafauna, plants, and rivers followed natural cycles. And together, all life created a quiet, meditative harmony. The Ice Age was not only survival, but reflection, observation, careful action, and respect for nature shaped daily life. Art, music, and ritual added beauty and calm to otherwise harsh conditions. And the rhythm of life carried a sense of balance, peace, and gentle continuity. As you rest tonight, imagine standing on an open plain. The cold is soft, the wind gentle, and the distant mountains serene. A herd of mammoths moves slowly across the horizon. Rivers flow quietly, and the stars above trace steady paths across the sky. Let your breathing match the calm, slow rhythm of this ancient world. Every inhale and exhale becomes part of a gentle, enduring cadence. Allow the Ice Age to lull your mind into relaxation and sleep. And as you drift, feel connected to the timeless, patient pulse of Earth itself. The Ice Age teaches us about resilience, observation, and harmony. Life persists through patience and careful adaptation. Every detail matters, and every rhythm has meaning. Let this knowledge, soft and calming, guide your mind to deep, peaceful rest. The end of the Ice Age marked the beginning of a new chapter. Humans carried forward lessons of patience, observation, and gentle adaptation. These lessons resonate even today in the quiet rhythms of nature. And now, as you settle, let the Ice Age cradle you into sleep, slow, serene, and calm. The Ice Age was home to a magnificent variety of animals. Some were massive, like woolly mammoths, standing tall under snow-covered skies. Others were smaller, yet equally adapted to cold climates, such as Arctic foxes and hares. Every creature had its rhythm, moving slowly and deliberately across frozen landscapes. Mammoths traveled in herds, following seasonal grazing patterns. Their thick, woolly coats insulated them from icy winds. Tusks curved gracefully, helping to dig through snow to reach plants. Even their breath created small clouds in the crisp air, visible against muted sunlight. Woolly rhinoceroses moved carefully across plains, grazing on hardy grasses and shrubs. Their thick skin and fur protected them from cold temperatures. They were generally solitary, yet gentle in their slow, measured movements. Every step pressed into the frozen ground, leaving tracks that would last for centuries. Giant deer and elk migrated across open tundra. Their antlers grew large and elaborate, often used for display rather than combat. These herds followed vegetation patterns, moving with patience and awareness. Predators carefully observed their behaviors, ensuring a balance in the ecosystem. Saber-toothed cats were silent hunters. They crouched patiently, blending into shadows of trees or rocks. Their long canine teeth were tools of precision, used deliberately to catch prey. Every hunt was slow, strategic, and balanced with the rhythms of the herd. Wolves hunted in packs, coordinating with subtle gestures and quiet calls. Their teamwork ensured efficiency while conserving energy. They tracked herds, studied behavior, and struck only at the right moment. The soft snow muffled their movement, allowing stealth and patience to prevail. Ice Age bears were both predators and omnivores. They hibernated during the coldest months, conserving energy. During warmer periods, they moved methodically to gather food and explore territory. Even their daily routines reflected the rhythm of the frozen world. Small mammals adapted to survive beneath snow and ice. Arctic hares changed fur color to blend with the landscape. Rodents and lemmings burrowed safely below frozen soil. Each action was slow, deliberate, and synchronized with seasonal cycles. Birds migrated strategically, seeking open water and food sources. Some species nested in cliffs, others in shrubs protected from icy winds. Their flight patterns followed subtle weather cues, moving with quiet precision. Even these small movements contributed to the gentle balance of the Ice Age ecosystem. Aquatic life adapted beneath ice-covered lakes and rivers. Fish moved slowly in cold water, conserving energy. Humans fished through ice holes, patiently waiting for the right catch. Every ripple, every movement of water was observed with care and awareness. Predator-prey dynamics maintained ecological harmony. Every movement, every strategy was deliberate and measured. No action was rushed. Patience defined survival for both humans and animals. The ecosystem moved like a slow, meditative dance, each participant aware of the others. Even insects survived quietly, burrowing beneath ice or within plants. They emerged in subtle warmth, contributing to decomposition and soil fertility. Their tiny movements were unnoticed, yet essential, part of the slow rhythm of life. Birds of prey observed herbivores and small animals from above. They waited silently, diving only at the right moment. Even the softest wing beat was measured and controlled. Every action fit seamlessly into the natural pulse of the frozen world. Humans learned from these creatures, tracking, observing, and understanding animal behavior became vital skills. They mirrored patience, observation, and calm in their own daily actions. This gentle study allowed them to thrive alongside enormous and dangerous creatures. Migration patterns of animals shaped human movement. Humans followed herds, moving in sync with environmental cues. This slow, deliberate travel required endurance, awareness, and respect for the land. Every step was quiet, thoughtful, and mindful of the rhythm of nature. Ice Age landscapes dictated animal behavior. Frozen rivers, snow-covered plains, and glacial valleys created predictable paths. Animals adapted, humans observed, and both moved slowly in harmony. The rhythm of life was unhurried, meditative, and enduring. Predation, survival, and cooperation coexisted. Herbivores moved deliberately, predators waited patiently, and humans adapted respectfully. No action was wasted, every decision had consequence. Life in the Ice Age was a gentle, slow pulse of interconnected existence. Even in extreme cold, animals maintained energy, warmth, and calm awareness. Their behavior reflected balance, adaptation, and quiet patience. Humans watched, I learned, and integrated into this rhythm. This slow, careful coexistence allowed life to thrive in harsh conditions. As you imagine this world tonight, see a herd of mammoths moving slowly across tundra. Hear the soft crunch of snow underfoot and the gentle whisper of wind. Watch a saber-toothed cat pause silently, then move with measured precision. Feel the calm rhythm of all creatures moving deliberately, patiently, and in harmony. The Ice Age was harsh, yet profoundly beautiful. Every action, every movement, and every breath contributed to the slow, steady rhythm of life. And as you breathe tonight, imagine joining this gentle pulse, letting it guide your mind into calm, restorative sleep. The Ice Age landscapes were dominated by tundra, steppe, and scattered forests. Plants adapted slowly to cold, wind, and snow, thriving where conditions allowed. Mosses, lichens, and hardy grasses blanketed frozen ground with muted colors. Every patch of vegetation survived with patience, resilience, and careful adaptation. Grasses provided the primary diet for large herbivores. Mammoths, bison, and giant deer grazed calmly, moving slowly across plains. Even the soft crunch of frozen grass was a part of the quiet rhythm of life. Herbivores adjusted their grazing patterns based on plant availability and season. Shrubs and small bushes survived in sheltered valleys. Their slow growth was protected by snow in winter and brief summer warmth. Humans learned which shrubs provided berries, roots, or medicinal value. Every plant was observed, studied, and collected deliberately. Trees were scarce in many regions, but flourished in protected microclimates. Conifers, such as spruce and pine, provided shelter for animals and humans. Branches were used for building, insulation, and firewood. Even the soft sway of branches and wind contributed to the serene cadence of the landscape. Algae and aquatic plants thrived in cold lakes and rivers. These plants nourished fish and small aquatic animals. Humans observed their presence, using them to identify healthy fishing spots. Every small ecosystem functioned with quiet, measured precision. Seasonal changes shaped the plant life dramatically. Spring and summer brought short bursts of growth. Autumn slowed plant activity, preparing seeds and roots for harsh winter. Humans, herbivores, and predators all adapted to this slow, cyclical rhythm. Plants influenced animal migration. Herbivores moved in search of edible patches, following subtle growth patterns. Predators mirrored these movements, ensuring ecosystem balance. Humans quietly observed these cycles, integrating them into survival strategies. Mosses and lichens were essential for frozen landscapes. They retained moisture and provided food for small herbivores. Even in harsh winter, they contributed to the subtle, slow rhythm of life. Every detail, no matter how small, had meaning in the ecosystem. Seeds and roots were stored patiently by humans for winter. They observed seasonal changes, planning collection and usage carefully. Every harvest was deliberate, slow, and attentive to environmental cues. This careful approach ensured sustenance and harmony with nature. Flowering plants were rare, but appeared in brief summer months. They attracted insects and small herbivores, creating temporary bursts of activity. Even the softest movement of petals or leaves added to the meditative cadence of the landscape. Humans observed these transient changes with patience and awareness. Trees and shrubs created microhabitats for birds and small mammals. Nests were hidden in branches, and small animals burrowed beneath roots. Every layer of vegetation supported life, quietly sustaining complex ecological networks. The rhythm of growth and decay followed natural, unhurried cycles. Ice Age rivers supported aquatic plants along their banks. Riparian vegetation stabilized banks and nourished freshwater ecosystems. Humans fished carefully, observing subtle water movements and plant patterns. The calm, the steady flow of rivers mirrored the slow rhythm of life on land. Even frozen lakes held ecosystems under ice. Algae, plankton, and small fish moved slowly, conserving energy. Predatory birds and mammals monitored frozen surfaces, waiting patiently for opportunity. Every ecosystem layer, above or below ice, participated in a gentle cadence of survival. Humans integrated plant knowledge into tools, medicine, and art. Roots and fibers were used for cordage, baskets, and bedding. Minerals from soil and plants created pigments for cave paintings. Every interaction with vegetation was careful, respectful, and deliberate. Forests in protected valleys provided quiet shelter. Animals moved silently through these areas, and humans followed cautiously. Every observation was slow, deliberate, and attuned to subtle environmental cues. The rhythm of life continued in these safe, shaded spaces. The Ice Age ecosystem was a symphony of interdependence. Plants, herbivores, predators, humans, and water interacted in gentle, deliberate patterns. Every action, movement, and observation reinforced calm, harmony, and balance. Life persisted in a slow, meditative flow, perfectly suited for quiet reflection. As you imagine this landscape tonight, see moss-covered plains stretching beneath muted skies. Hear soft winds moving through shrubs and sparse trees. Observe herbivores grazing slowly, predators waiting patiently, and humans moving quietly. Breathe slowly, letting the rhythm of Ice Age ecology guide your mind toward calm and rest. Even the smallest plant played a vital role. Its leaves, roots, and seeds contributed to the subtle pulse of life. Humans and animals adapted to these cycles with patience and mindfulness. And as you drift toward sleep, imagine becoming part of this slow, gentle, natural harmony. The Ice Age was a world shaped by slow, powerful natural forces. Glaciers moved steadily, carving valleys, cliffs, and plains over millennia. Their advance and retreat created rivers, lakes, and fertile soils. Every movement, though slow, left lasting marks on the landscape. Snowstorms swept across open plains, sometimes gentle, sometimes intense. Flakes drifted quietly, covering the land in soft white layers. The sound of wind through ice and snow was calm and rhythmic. Even violent storms contributed to the measured pulse of the environment. Blizzards tested the patience of all living creatures. Humans huddled in caves or shelters, conserving warmth and energy. Animals adapted by seeking shelter, moving carefully, or conserving strength. Every moment required observation, awareness, and careful response. Glacial ice pressed slowly across continents, grinding rocks and shaping valleys. The weight and movement were relentless yet methodical. Mountains were polished, cliffs were carved, and rivers rerouted. This slow shaping of the land reflected nature's quiet, deliberate power. Meltwater from glaciers formed rivers and streams. These waterways moved steadily, cutting channels, nourishing plants, and supporting aquatic life. Humans followed these slow-moving rivers for sustenance and travel. Every ripple, every eddy contributed to the calm rhythm of life. Volcanic activity occasionally punctuated Ice Age landscapes. Eruptions were dramatic yet rare, leaving ash and fertile soil behind. Humans and animals adjusted slowly, observing changes and moving with care. These natural events reminded all life of the enduring power of the earth. Earthquakes occurred subtly in glacial regions. Rock layers shifted quietly beneath ice, occasionally producing tremors. Humans learned to recognize warning signs and adapt their shelters. Even subtle movement of the land was integrated into the rhythm of daily life. Wind sculpted snow into drifts, ice into shapes, and sand into valleys. This slow shaping created patterns across open plains. Animals and humans navigated these changes with awareness and care. Every curve and ridge became a guide for movement, hunting, and travel. Sunlight reflected off ice and snow, creating muted, calming illumination. Even harsh light softened through drifting snowflakes or low sun angles. The play of light and shadow contributed to the quiet, meditative beauty of the landscape. Humans observed this light carefully, timing activities for comfort and efficiency. Auroras danced in polar skies, glowing softly in green and pink hues. These natural lights added gentle wonder to the nighttime environment. Humans likely watched them with awe, reflecting on nature's rhythms. Even the cosmos above became part of the slow, serene cadence of the Ice Age. Icebergs floated in glacial rivers, moving silently over time. Their slow drift created shifting landscapes and natural markers. Humans observed patterns, learning safe paths and identifying hazards. Every floating mass of ice became part of the quiet choreography of survival. Permafrost preserved landscapes and life for millennia. Buried plants, animals, and sediments offered clues about the past. Humans adapted to frozen soil by digging carefully, observing patterns, and using insulation. Every layer of ice and soil held subtle lessons for life. Rain and snow cycles were gentle teachers. They shaped rivers, nourished plants, and influenced migration. Humans followed these cycles with patience, adjusting routines to natural rhythms. Even precipitation contributed to the calm, deliberate pattern of existence. Wind-chilled landscapes emphasized patience, careful movement, and adaptation. Humans learned to dress in layers, build shelters, and navigate with caution. Animals moved with quiet efficiency, conserving energy and observing environmental cues. Every participant in the Ice Age world acted in harmony with slow natural forces. Volcanic ash enriched soil gradually, supporting future growth of plants. Meltwater rivers fed lush valleys over centuries. These slow changes reminded all life of enduring cycles and measured time. Patience and observation were essential for survival, growth, and calm coexistence. Even small shifts in ice or snow influenced ecosystems. Tracks, shelters, and feeding areas changed subtly with each season. Humans and animals adapted carefully, integrating observations into daily life. Every tiny change became part of the meditative rhythm of Ice Age Earth. The Ice Age's natural phenomena created a slow, deliberate, and peaceful cadence. Glaciers, snowstorms, volcanoes, and earthquakes shaped the world quietly. Every movement of ice, water, or wind contributed to life's gentle, enduring rhythm. And as you imagine these forces tonight, feel their slow, calming influence guiding your mind to rest. Snowdrifts shift gently across open plains. Rivers flow calmly from glacial melt. Mountains rise silently. Glaciers carve valleys. And the slow, deliberate cadence of nature becomes a lullaby, soothing your mind and body. Humans in the Ice Age were skilled, patient, and observant. They created tools carefully, selecting stones, bones, and wood. Every strike, scrape, or carve was deliberate and precise. Tools were not only functional, but also a reflection of quiet attention. Stone blades were shaped with repeated, gentle strikes. Edges were sharpened slowly to maximize efficiency. Even simple scrapers or knives reflected hours of careful observation. These tools allowed humans to hunt, process food, and craft with patience. Bone and antler tools were refined for specific purposes. Needles, harpoons, and awls were carved meticulously. They assisted in sewing furs, preparing hides, and crafting shelters. Every tool reflected integration of observation, patience, and skill. Humans created shelters suited to cold, harsh conditions. Caves, temporary structures, and layered hides offered warmth and protection. Fire was central, maintained deliberately with care and attention. Even tending fire became a meditative, slow practice. Art was integral to Ice Age culture. Cave paintings depicted animals, hunts, and symbolic patterns. Muted colors and flowing lines created calming imagery. Even storytelling, recited softly by fireside, contributed to collective memory. Music accompanied daily life and ritual. Bone flutes, soft drums, and gentle percussion created soothing rhythms. Melodies were simple, slow, and repetitive, enhancing focus and relaxation. Music and art together nurtured calm, awareness, and communal connection. Humans migrated carefully across the landscape. Seasonal movement followed herds, plant growth, and weather patterns. Every journey required observation, patience, and adaptation. Movement was deliberate, harmonizing with natural rhythms of the Ice Age. Knowledge was passed orally and through demonstration. Elders taught young humans tracking, tool-making, and survival skills. Repetition and observation ensured mastery over time. These practices fostered calm, focused attention, and slow learning. Communication relied on gestures, expressions, and quiet calls. Subtle signals allowed coordination during hunting and group movement. Every interaction was careful and measured. This gentle rhythm ensured cohesion and safety in harsh conditions. Diet required careful planning and execution. Humans hunted large herbivores, gathered plants, and fished patiently. Food was preserved, stored, and shared slowly to sustain the group. Every meal reflected observation, respect for resources, and deliberate action. Rituals marked seasonal change, successful hunts, or communal gatherings. Fires, songs, and symbols created spaces for reflection and social bonding. Even minor gestures, like arranging stones or leaves, carried meaning. These rituals integrated observation, calm, and meditative practices into daily life. Children learned through imitation and observation. Every action, from tracking to tool making, was taught slowly. Elders guided gently, allowing understanding to develop over time. Patience was a key element in education, ensuring deep skill and awareness. Trade likely existed between groups, exchanging tools, pigments, or ornaments. These exchanges strengthened social bonds and cultural knowledge. Humans traveled carefully to maintain safety while connecting with distant groups. Every journey, exchange, and interaction reflected mindfulness and deliberate pacing. Ice Age humans adapted clothing to their environment. Furs and hides were layered for warmth, carefully sewn and maintained. Clothing reflected not only survival needs, but also skill and attention to detail. Even small adjustments were deliberate and slow. Observing the night sky was part of daily rhythm. Stars, moon, and auroras guided migration and seasonal planning. Humans may have reflected on celestial movements with quiet curiosity. This calm observation connected life on Earth to the larger cosmos. Shelter, tools, clothing, art, and ritual combined into a meditative, slow rhythm of life. Humans moved deliberately, observed carefully, and acted patiently. Every decision was informed by experience, observation, and reflection. This careful integration allowed life to thrive in harsh, frozen landscapes. Imagine a group gathered by a gentle fire in a cave. The glow softens features, casting calm shadows on walls adorned with art. A child imitates elders, learning to craft tools with patience and focus. Outside, wind brushes against snow-dusted cliffs, quiet and rhythmic. Every movement, sound, and breath in this scene is slow and deliberate. Life is intertwined with landscape, climate, and creatures of the Ice Age. Humans exist in harmony with animals, plants, and environmental rhythms. And as you imagine this, let your mind follow the gentle cadence, drifting into sleep. The Ice Age humans embody resilience, patience, and mindful observation. Every action was measured, every decision deliberate. This quiet, slow, meditative life creates a rhythm that calms the mind. And tonight, you can follow that rhythm, letting Ice Age wisdom lull you into rest. The Ice Age left enduring marks on our planet. Glaciers carved valleys, mountains, and plains that remain visible today. Rivers and lakes, shaped by glacial melt, continue to nourish ecosystems. Even coastlines were reshaped slowly, leaving clues of frozen times. Fossils of mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and giant deer tell stories of the past. Buried beneath ice and sediment, they preserved life in exquisite detail. Humans today can study these remnants, learning about adaptation and survival. Each fossil is a reminder of patience, resilience, and harmony with nature. Stone tools and cave art survive as windows into Ice Age culture. Every etched line and carefully shaped tool reflects deliberate, mindful action. These artifacts tell us about human observation, creativity, and slow, measured living. They connect us to the calm rhythms of daily life tens of thousands of years ago. Modern landscapes carry the legacy of glacial sculpting. Polished rocks, moraines, and fjords show the slow hand of Ice Age forces. These formations guide rivers, support forests, and provide habitats for animals. The planet itself continues to move and change in quiet, deliberate ways. Ice Age lessons remain relevant for our modern world. Observation, patience, and respect for natural rhythms foster harmony. Understanding subtle environmental cues ensures sustainable coexistence. Even today, adopting slow, deliberate attention can calm the mind and body. Seasonal changes remind us of cycles that have persisted for millennia. Spring thaw, summer growth, autumn harvest, and winter dormancy continue their pattern. Humans and animals alike follow these rhythms, consciously or unconsciously. The slow cadence of nature offers a soothing rhythm for relaxation and sleep. The calm, steady pulse of Ice Age ecosystems inspires meditation and reflection. Every movement, every interaction was deliberate and interconnected. Predators, prey, plants, and humans coexisted with mindfulness. This interconnectedness can guide our modern awareness of environmental balance. Ancient rivers, glacial lakes, and fertile plains provide visual tranquility. Even today, observing frozen or flowing landscapes evokes calm and wonder. The slow transformation of ice, water, and earth encourages patience and reflection. These landscapes act as natural lullabies, easing the mind toward rest. Humans learned to live within Ice Age constraints. They adapted tools, clothing, shelters, and strategies with care. Observation, repetition, and mindful action shaped survival and culture. This deliberate way of life teaches us about presence, patience, and serenity. Art, music, and ritual contributed to calm, meditative life. Cave paintings, bone flutes, and gentle songs echoed the slow pulse of the world. Even the smallest creative act reflected attention, patience, and reflection. We can draw inspiration from these practices for mindful relaxation today. Every Ice Age creature contributed to the rhythm of life. Mammoths, bison, wolves, and birds moved slowly, deliberately, and in balance. Their interaction with humans created mutual awareness and gentle coexistence. The calm pace of survival becomes a model for modern meditation and sleep. Glaciers and ice sheets taught the power of gradual transformation. Slow, relentless movement reshaped continents and ecosystems alike. Even in change, there was harmony, order, and a steady, measured rhythm. Following this pace mentally can help the mind slow, releasing tension and stress. Humans observed the night sky as a quiet guide. Stars, moon, and auroras offered constancy amidst shifting ice and snow. These celestial rhythms mirrored life's slow, enduring patterns. Meditating on these cycles can induce a sense of calm, timeless presence. The Ice Age emphasizes interdependence between life and environment. Every organism, from the smallest insect to the largest mammoth, played a role. Humans thrived by observing, adapting, and moving in harmony. This interconnected perspective nurtures mindfulness, serenity, and rest. Even subtle environmental cues mattered greatly. Footprints in snow, changing river courses, and plant growth guided daily actions. Patience and awareness ensured survival, comfort, and gentle progression. Learning from these cues allows modern reflection and relaxation practices. Imagine walking across a thawed valley, listening to flowing rivers, hear soft wind through moss, shrubs, and trees. See distant herds moving slowly across plains, and stars shining above. Feel the gentle rhythm of Ice Age Earth guiding your mind into calm rest. Every glacial formation, river path, and ancient tree line carries history. Every fossil, tool, and artwork preserves stories of mindful, deliberate life. We are connected to these rhythms through observation, awareness, and reflection. And as you breathe tonight, let these slow, enduring patterns lull you into deep sleep. The Ice Age teaches patience, observation, and gentle adaptation. Life thrived through calm, measured interaction with the environment. Modern humans can draw inspiration from this slow, harmonious pace. Let the Earth's ancient rhythm cradle your mind, body, and spirit tonight. As glaciers carved mountains, rivers nourished valleys, and humans observed patiently, life unfolded deliberately, slowly, and peacefully across frozen lands. This timeless rhythm becomes a lullaby, softening thought and easing tension. And now, as you drift, feel embraced by the enduring, meditative pulse of Ice Age Earth. As our journey through the Ice Age comes to a close, take a moment to feel the calm rhythm of this frozen world. Imagine glaciers slowly carving valleys, rivers flowing gently from melted ice, and herds of animals moving deliberately across the snowy plains. Reflect on how humans observed, adapted, and thrived in harmony with nature's slow, meditative pace. Every step, every breath, and every action during this ancient time followed a quiet, a deliberate rhythm, a reminder of patience, balance, and gentle coexistence. Let the soft echoes of Ice Age landscapes settle in your mind. Feel the stillness of snow-covered forests, the gentle sway of frozen rivers, and the timeless pulse of the earth beneath your feet. As you breathe slowly and deeply, allow these calm, ancient rhythms to guide you into relaxation. Let your body sink, your thoughts soften, and your mind drift peacefully. Carry the serenity of the Ice Age with you as you slip into deep, restorative sleep tonight. Good night.